The Grupo Especial de Operaciones, known as HEO, are the Special Operation Forces of the Spanish National Police Corps. The HEO has rapid response capabilities and is responsible for VIP protection duties, as well as countering and responding to terrorism. With the growing threat of terrorism and several organised crime groups from within Spain, the Spanish military staff announced the requirement for a more specialised unit in November 1977. The HEO was formed. A group who had spent some time with the German GSG-9 were tasked with the training of the new unit, and in March 1978 the first courses began. The first access course ended on the 19th of January 1979. On the 23rd of February, the unit was officially announced to the public. The HEO is organised in much the same way as other police tactical units throughout Europe. Their main focus is dealing with terrorist attacks, including aircraft hijackings, maritime threats, and hostage taking. But they are also active in protecting visiting heads of state and providing security for high-profile events. Hopeful candidates require a minimum of 2 years' experience in the National Police Corps and must have experience in either martial arts, scuba diving, marksmanship, or explosives. Once accepted, they are run through the Access Trial, which contains both physical and psychological tests, checking strength and durability, as well as the mental capabilities of each candidate. If successful, potential members are put through a specialization course. Candidates are required to master instrumental, juridical, socio-professional, and police sciences and techniques. The success rate of joining HEO is approximately 3% of candidates every year. After the reactivation of Team Rainbow in 2015, 2 HEO operators were recruited to bring their skills and expertise to assist in the fight against terrorism on a global scale. These operators were named Jackal and Mira.
Siempre dejan algo atrás.
Riyad Ramirez Al-Hassar, codenamed Jackal, is an attacking operator in Team Rainbow. Born in Ceuta, a Spanish city on the north coast of Africa, bordered by Morocco, it lies along the boundary between the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. Although very little is known about his parents and in what circumstances led them to disappearing from his life, his last names identify that his father was most likely Spanish and his mother Moroccan. So he spent the majority of his younger years as a foster child, residing in a large residential institution with many other children, with very little affection and scarcely any adequate adult guidance. The systems in place at this time were poor at best, and many children were housed in numbers far greater than what these institutions could hold. Eventually, over time, the system expanded to include foster homes, but these were few and far between, and no home was ever permanent for long. Merely a means to tie him over until he was old enough to no longer be the state's concern. Had it not been for his older brother, Faisal, who became his legal guardian when he was old enough, he would have spent his entire childhood within the foster care system. From there, the brothers seemed to disappear, and it was not until some years had passed that they were located again in El Príncipe Alfonso, a working-class neighbourhood in the south of the Spanish city of Ceuta in northwest Africa. Discovered in an abandoned building, lying critically injured next to his brother's lifeless body. Although the neighbourhood had become the centre of drug trading in recent years, with no clear motives, no witnesses, and no murder weapon, the local authorities determined the case inconclusive and just another result of street violence. With his brother murdered, Jackal was once again without a home. One of the police officers was compassionate towards him and took him under his wing to help guide Jackal through this difficult time in his life. After that night, Jackal was determined to unravel the events that had led to the loss of his brother. The murderer had not been found, the case was still open, and he made it his goal in life to join the National Police Corps the day he turned 18. Jackal was fast-tracked through the academy with the assistance of the officer who'd been helping him. He quickly passed all mandatory qualifications, and he stood out among the rest. He was a fast learner, with exceptional lateral thinking. His dedication and determination resulted in the closure of a number of criminal investigations, but unfortunately, his brother's wasn't among them. The killing of his brother is always on his mind, and as more and more time passes, his frustration only grows, as the likelihood of it ever being sold only becomes furthermore improbable. Although Jackal would never admit to it, he clearly holds onto extreme guilt regarding what happened to his brother. And what's more, this only got worse because he eventually left his job as a criminal investigator. Maybe this is why he always says before an operation that I won't let this one slip away. Eventually Jackal was flagged by Heyo for further training. As a member of their unit, he learned how to cultivate a number of his skills in the field, and he excelled in off-road driving, abseiling, marksmanship, and knowledge of terrorist groups. Ever since he can remember, Jackal has been a very competitive individual. As a foster child, his future was always uncertain, and his early life was usually chaotic and unpredictable. At a very young age, he needed to learn how to protect and fend for himself, and often worried incessantly about his basic needs being met. Because of this, it created the need for him to control his environment, and with this also came a problem with sleeping. A person who didn't grow up in foster care may remember the feeling of sleeping at a friend's house or in a relative's home, and not sleeping well in those places because they're filled with unfamiliar sights and sounds. So unsurprisingly, even when a foster child is placed in a home with kind and loving foster parents, the strange new surroundings can be difficult to overcome, especially if they change homes frequently. Paired with this is his overwhelming sense of responsibility surrounding his brother's death, and what may have initially started as guilt has since turned into full-blown insomnia. However, given the nature of his career, and that he's always expected to be alert and ready to go, this could be seen as an advantage. This is also a result of one of his learned behaviours. As a foster child, he always felt the need to be alert and watching out for himself, and his brain is constantly in a state of hypervigilance, unable to fully relax. The consequences of deep, unresolved issues from his childhood continue to plague him, even to this day, and are naturally a concern for his mental well-being, and whether he is living his life for himself, or just purely out of guilt. However, Jackal has recently been taking steps in the right direction. He has started guest lecturing and even teaching part-time at the National Police Corps Academy. He also volunteers with at-risk youth, where he is able to share his experiences and provide stability to their lives. This work is more than just helping others, it provides him with a purpose and connections with people he didn't know he was missing. The past experiences of Jackal have resulted in an operative with a very protective nature and an almost manic, intense desire for ultimate justice. He's extremely competitive, and has been heard saying before each op that he's able to flip a mental switch inside of him, allowing him unwavered focus on his abilities. Jackal has solid relationships with many of his teammates, including Specialist Thatcher, Twitch, and Lion, but also of course fellow Heyo specialist Mira, of which they both have immense respect for one another. He pays homage to his ancestry on his mother's side, as he often quotes a line from the famous Arab poet Al-Mutanabbi, where he recites, "The steed, the night, and the desert all know me, now you will too." Like the jackal he was named after, he tracks and hunts down his prey, and exacts his vengeance upon them. Jackal's gadget is the Inox Model 3. Inspired by the FBI's quick capture platform, the Inox was created as a mobile tracking device that is able to identify and follow a person's footsteps in real time. Originally, this forensic tool was used to track terrorist cells back to their hidden compounds in the mountains of Afghanistan.
A ver esas caras bonitas.
Alina Maria Alvarez, codenamed Mira, is a defending operator in Team Rainbow. Mira grew up in Madrid, Spain. Although she had a sister, for as far back as she can remember, it had always been just her and her father. Mira and her sister were polar opposites growing up. An example of this is when they were young, they were each given a doll. While her sister did the usual thing of dressing it up and having tea parties, Mira cut her doll open to see how it worked. She would work alongside her father in his auto repair shop, often helping out with incredibly complex repairs, and she gained an invaluable understanding of the intricate workings of machines. Her father never spoke of her mother, so Mira never knew who she was or what had happened in order for her mother to leave them. However, he did share a lot of special memories of his own mother, so unsurprisingly, over time, her grandmother's morals and strength instilled important values in Mira, and she too became a significant role model in her life. Her grandmother fought in the Spanish Civil War, where women for the first time would be involved in large numbers in combat and in support roles on the front line. The bond between father and daughter was incredibly strong, and one night this was only further solidified. She was only 7 years old when her father became pinned underneath one of the cars he was working on. Trapped and unable to move, he calmly instructed his daughter to leave him and go get help. But she was fearful. What if she left him and he died? What if she couldn't find help in time? It was just the two of them, and she needed to save him. She grabbed the heavy Jack, and despite his protests and how much she struggled in the beginning, she eventually managed to free him from underneath the car. Only then did she run for help. Mira is an individual who is ferociously protective, especially when it comes to the ones closest to her. She strives to be a hero, not because she's after the glory and notoriety, but because someone has to step up to the plate, and she has always felt that it's her place to do so. Her talent lies in her mechanically minded way of thinking, which was only further cultivated with the help of her father. He allowed her to push herself under his gentle guidance, encouraging her to work things out for herself, yet was close enough to advise her if she needed it. Later on, Mira went on to study mechanical engineering and metallurgy, which is the study of the physical and chemical behavior of metallic elements. Being surrounded by machinery reminds her of her father and helps to solidify his memory after his passing. Yet she also wanted to do more with her talents, so she looked for an opportunity to help others. Her values had instilled her with a strong sense of justice and an obligation to serve, so she went on to join the National Police Corps. Working with them highlighted what she believed was a need for better equipment, and because of her efforts, a number of new bulletproof materials were developed, which went on to help protect her teammates during ops. Encouraged by her superiors to apply for HAYO, she comfortably secured a position within the unit, beating more than 100 other applicants. Harry quickly became aware of Mira and all of her talents. He saw her as a vital piece in Rainbow's future and moving forward, so he offered her the position as Director of Research and Development. Not long after taking this role, she was also added to the combat roster. This enabled her to further test her inventions, along with enabling her to develop and improve herself under field conditions. Harry believes that Mira is his keystone, and without her he would be lost. Mira is an operator who is loyal and stubborn and fiercely protective. Her kind heart and concerns for others is highly valued by her colleagues, and she naturally dominates a leadership role during operations in a way that is not forceful or domineering, and others generally fall in line as a result. She enjoys her time working in the lab, and it has allowed her to advance her skills immensely. As she once told Harry, "With just a whiff of machine oil, I am transported back in time. I see him, my father, hunched over a car engine, looking up at me, smiling." The armor she wears is her own reinforced design, and she is also responsible for inventing Nock's Hell device. She was the lead engineer in creating the specialized ballistic shield for Tachanka's LMG, and working alongside Twitch, the creation of the CCE shield for Clash. Also, it was her, Finker, and IQ who together collaborated to refine Warden's smart glasses. However, she doesn't get along with every operator. Her and Specialist Ash seem to have an ongoing rivalry. Both are solid leaders and incredibly strong-willed individuals, though they approach challenges in completely different ways. In her spare time, she enjoys creating sculptures made out of used machine parts and ballistic glass. The intricate designs are bold and enchanting, and are a great source of pride for her. Mira thinks on her feet. She's adaptable and versatile, which makes her incredibly difficult to predict, and she delights in taking risks. Her creativity and unpredictability gives her the unparalleled ability to dominate even the smallest of urban environments above everyone else. If her and Ash just learned how to combine their unique strengths together, they would undoubtedly see the value in each other's approaches. Mira came up with the idea for the Black Mirror during Operation Blue Orion, where she was forced to improvise a panic room at the Embassy of Spain in Tel Aviv. This experience helped her design a specialized laminated glass, which when deployed can produce a one-way mirror on any wall. However, if the air pressure is disrupted, the glass is ejected, creating an opening and leaving members on either side vulnerable. From here, I'm hoping to cover some of the new Night Haven operators, and give a bit of an update to everyone's maybe not so favourite PMC that was more recently added to the Rainbow roster. I must admit, I wasn't a huge fan of them adding the PMC to the story, but the lore behind them is quickly becoming one of the more interesting across the operators. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!